Hello and welcome back to Redirecting. I'm going to be queuing in on the story of Mike Oliver. He is the white guy who has slept with over 100 Kenyan women. Sounds very similar to the story that we talked about a few months back, where it was a white guy down in Georgia who had slept with hundreds of black women as well, and he was infecting them. Same thing is happening with this Mike Oliver, but this time you have Kenyan women. Now, I want to come from a little bit of a different angle, because there's always this thing where there's a separation of the actions of black women here in America and black women in Africa. Now, what I'm seeing here is very similar. A lot of times you will have those who will put African women upon a pedestal. They will put them up on a pedestal, comparing them to African American women. And more I'm starting to see that the more people say that we are different, we are the same. And what I mean by that is, you have those on the continent of Africa who would never do something like this. They are righteous women. They live righteously, they think righteously, and they would never do something like that. Here in America, the same thing. You have righteous women here in America who would never do something like this, would never mess around with these men like this. But on the flip side of that, in Africa and here in America, and I'm going to say in various regions around the world, you have black women who will stoop this low. And so when I hear the comparisons about how African women are this, that, and the other above American women, it's a bunch of foolishness. Because, again, you have those who will live and behave righteously because that's in them to do that. And you have those who will not, on both sides of the water, you see. But anyway, back to this story. It was very disturbing to me, just like when we talked about the situation that happened down in Georgia. It was very disturbing to me that black women would spread their legs to these white men just because they're white. It had nothing to do with anything else. Or should I say, it was probably money too. Okay. But for some of them, it had nothing to do with money. For some, they felt safe because he was white, or they felt privileged or honored. Unfortunately, some of our people think like this. Some of our black women really think like this. They feel honored that a white guy is paying attention to them and would even sleep with them. They feel honored. These are people who do not know the history of this world. Why would you feel honored? So now the consequences could be HIV. Now, not all of them may contract the disease, but some of them just might. Now, when I think of the mindset of this guy, he's just having fun. And I'm just going to tell you, the fact that he slept with over 100 Kenyan women, or 100 women. I don't know if it's just women in Kenya, but the fact that he slept with over 100 women shows that he's probably intentionally spreading what he knows that he has. Now, some articles are saying that it's Kenyan women, but there could be others tossed in the mix as well, you see. But this is really disgusting that anyone would do something like this, but it's equally as disgusting, in my opinion, that these women would just because he's a white guy would spread them for him. It doesn't matter if he's white or black, because you're not supposed to be just spreading for anybody, period. It is what it is. But the fact that some of them did it just because he is white, that's where the disgust comes in. Why do we feel like it's a step up? That part I will never get. I shared my testimony on my channel several times, where when I was very young, I was in my early 20s, and there was a white guy at my job named Jerry. I've talked about this before. I was offended when Jerry said to me that he would love to wake up next to me in the morning in his bed. I didn't giggle. I didn't smirk. I didn't smile. I didn't grin. I was offended. And if I wasn't such a nice person back then, nice as in not what the real word means. Nice actually means stupid. But if I wasn't such a nice person back then, he may have gotten a couple of teeth knocked out. If I could have pulled it off, of course. But, I was not impressed. I was very, very offended. And I was saying to myself, who the heck do you think you are? Who the heck do you think I am? First of all, I didn't carry myself like that at all. But I guess he put it in a way to where I wouldn't take offense to it. I would feel good to wake up. No, I'm sorry. I don't care how you put it. It was still an insult. But unfortunately, some of our people think a certain way when it comes to people of other races. We don't get that same type of goo-gooey butterfly feeling when a person of our own race says something like this to us. As a matter of fact, I've heard some brothers say that they would be nice to a sister, opening the door, treating her with kindness and politeness, and she would act like she had an attitude. I've seen and heard that before. I remember my husband told me a story years ago where one of his co-workers that he used to drive a truck with, when they used to stop at restaurants on their lunch break sometimes, one time his co-worker, or the guy who rode around in the truck with him, just gave a nice compliment to a girl who's working at a restaurant, and she got rude and nasty with him. And because he's from the streets, he's from New York, but he also lived a good portion of his life in Detroit. He was like one of them hood fellas. And when he noticed that this young lady slighted him and was rude to him, he went off on her. You see, so it's amazing to me that we can be rude to one another. You want to get rude if a black guy says something nice to you. But when a white guy says something to you, all of these butterflies just get to tingling in your belly. And you feel honored all of a sudden. To me, this story is disgusting. Whether it's happening in Kenya or in Georgia, here in the U.S. Disgusting. Okay, I'm done with this story. I just wanted to add my 2 cents in on this major mind job that has been done on us, to the point where we would feel some type of honor from this, oh my goodness, degradation. This is disgusting. This man was using you all. He was using these women. And now in return, they could possibly have something that they didn't bargain for. Something that they weren't expecting, because they looked in those eyes and they just couldn't take it, and they melted like butter. Okay, I'm done with the story for real now. If you haven't already, subscribed to the channel, like and share this video, and with that, I am out. Be sure to ring the bell to be notified of new uploads on this channel, and also comment, share, like, and subscribe.